sneakerhead, homie, put your hands in the air. Close your eyes and reminisce about your favorite pair. Take a minute to answer, cause the question ain't fair. Probably had 2 or 3 that you love to wear. Probably had 1 or 2 that was multiple pairs. And probably had 1 pair that you never would wear. Yeah, you know what I mean. All you sneakerheads, here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on Time Sports Talk. This is the Coach's Corner. I am Casey, the remix schedule, flying solo right now. We're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, the Boston Celtics. What did I see from game one? What do I think I'm going to see in game two? And ultimately, where it all went wrong for Dallas. What did Boston do right? And because Boston just flat out said, welcome to the TD Garden, bend over, and we're going to smack it. They disciplined the Dallas Mavericks. They said, not in our house, not today. This is our year. And that's what it felt like Boston was saying. Even though the majority of people in the media, people like myself, picked Dallas in 6 or 7 games. I picked them in 6. I'm not ready to reconsider that. I don't want a free pass in that situation. It's all going to, a huge story is going to be told tonight in game two. So let's get to game one. Like I said, they came out, put it on Dallas first quarter. Everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson said. You know, Jaylen Brown was the best player in that game. He was the best player on the floor, bar none. And I give credit for Jaylen Brown making the plays. You know, I think some people are, what is Tatum doing, or why is he being so? I think Tatum is smart enough to let the game flow to him. And I believe that he does what his team needs to. If he needs to be the guy and the superstar, he'll take over if he needs to. But like really good coaches will ride a hot lineup, right? And in this situation, I think Tatum was riding the hot guys, and it's an intelligent way to play basketball. Um, but a perfect storm of things, I think, what you had happen a few nights ago. One of them was you had this Porzingis Kyrie dynamic. Was Kyrie going to come out and be, just shut the crowd up, or Porzingis coming back and, giving it to one of his former teams? And Porzingis played out of his mind. And I do not expect that to happen in game two. I think he may hit a shot or two early that gets the crowd hype. Haven't seen official starting lineups yet, so I don't know if he's still coming off the bench. I would do that if I was Udoka, still bring KP off the bench. He scored about his career average, around that 20-point mark is his career average. So nothing out of the craziness, but the barrage at the beginning of the game that he came out with, and the Celtics. I mean, it was the Boston rain party. All right, it was, or the Boston 3 party instead of the Boston Tea party. That sounds better, not the Boston rain party. That sounded stupid. The Boston 3 party is what it ended up being, and it just shot after shot after shot. I mean, Boston shot an incredible percentage, ended up shooting 38% for the game. So they cooled off as I thought they would in the second half. Ultimately, the hole was way too big by then for Dallas to scrape out of. For the Dallas Mavericks, these other guys got to step up. PJ Washington did have 14, but some of that came later. A lot of the stats ultimately kind of came in some garbage time, but Derrick Jones Jr. tried to do some things that weren't Derrick Jones Jr. Him taking on 2 or 3 guys. Tatum basically could have just taken the ball away and just went the other way. Had his blocked it almost with this entire part of his arm. Then you had Gerald Green trying to dunk over a 7'4" guy, or not Gerald Green. Holy crap. Gerald Green probably could dunk over Porzingis pretty easily. Josh Green Josh Green, you're not that guy. I'm sorry. You're not Vince Carter. You're not Tracy McGrady. You're not Michael Jordan. All right. You're not one of the great high flyers in the history of the game. Jump stop, pump fake, let the big dude fly by and then put it in. Like a simple fundamental game. You're going full speed. You got him running full speed. If you jump stop, pump fake, he's going right by. I mean, damn, man, like simple basketball. But everyone wants the freaking Sports Center play. And it's ridiculous. Like we need the points more than we need the highlight right there. You're not Anthony Edwards, and your team's not going to get psyched up and get back in the game because you dunked over Porzingis. All right, and which obviously it didn't work very well. So um, that I'm sorry. That's just the facts. One thing that was a little perplexed me. I did like Lively's. I'm going to talk about Derek Lively here for a second. I did like his physicality. I love that he was playing to show he's not scared, and he was kind of that chippy guy. But I didn't understand why up on Porzingis he's basically like this when he should be off a little bit because you don't want to get beat, and he gets beat and he gets the dunk and the crowd's going wild and I have a feeling they may reel that in a little bit, his ability to be that physical like he was, because after that first quarter, Lively was trying to beat the crap out of him a little bit, and so I think that's got to be a strategic adjustment of playing a step back off of Porzingis. I know he was hitting 30-footers. That dude came in playing insane, and like I said, I don't expect him to play like that again. He's probably going to get 15 to 20 points depending on how long he plays, but we'll see how that goes. But I don't expect him to play as well as he did. I expect Jason Tatum to be a little better. Jaylen Brown maybe to come back to earth a little bit. Luka's got to be better in handling the basketball. Kyrie's got to be better at handling the basketball. The team's turnovers, although they won the turnover battle for the game, they had some really bad ones early. And so they had, two or three, the two by that Luka got ripped and, bringing the ball up the court and leading to dunks. And that was bad, man. That was terrible. And so ultimately, I think you got to, I kind of said this in the preview was Luka and Kyrie have to be more efficient, especially Luka, and take care of the basketball. So about 4 minutes, 37 seconds around there, Dallas fights out of the hole. They cut it to 8 points. You think, all right, here we go. We're fighting back. Luka has established himself as the guy in the game now. Kyrie might catch fire. And Kyrie did hit some big shots in that run. That fadeaway over Porzingis was beautiful. And they started getting other guys, started hitting a few shots. But then as they come down the floor, and I'm not yelling at the TV, I've gotten past that stage in my life. I was talking to myself as the game's going on. I go, all right, you need a stop score in this situation. You cut it to 5 or 6 points, or I mean, if it's at 8, you cut it to 4 or even, maybe even 2 points or 3 points. 2 points if you hit 2 threes, 4 points if you hit 2 twos. I do math. If you come down here, you get a stop score when you're down 8. Kyrie comes off, pulls a quick 3, and then Boston goes back down the floor, and then I think they got another stop. They come back down. Luka pulls a quick 3 from the left, not corner, but the left wing area, and doesn't make it. And those 2 quick baskets, and Boston converts on the other end. That was the end of the game. With about 4 minutes left, 3:50 left in the third quarter, all that effort was wasted in trying to come back in the game and dig yourself out of that hole. And you gotta be smarter. I know you're the stars. I know you're the guys. You're some of the best shot makers in the history of the game. You just got to play smarter in that situation and be able to take better jump shots or get to the line. A big part of that run was attacking the basket, and they kind of, those last few possessions, got away from it. Jack some threes, bad looks, bad shots equal turnovers in my book. And so strategically, Boston did what I thought they were going to do. They switched everything. They didn't really trap. They picked their points. I remember Derek White coming behind Luka off of a screen, getting the steal, and then getting the layup on the other end. They did a good job, and as you would expect a 60-plus win team to do. It's originally why I picked them before the playoffs started, and I've been called a homer for switching my pick to the Mavs this series, and I own that 100%. I still think the Mavs can pull it off in 6, but they're going to have to win tonight. Which Mavs have been really great bouncing back after loss. We all thought they could probably steal game 1, but ultimately, I got to be honest, that they haven't been great in game 1s under Jason Kidd. I don't know if that's just pure coincidence, but it feels like, oh, all right, that's what they're doing. Now we're going to adjust to it. And they normally respond in game 2. And I think the shooting by Boston cools off a little bit. And then I think Dallas is going to play better. And I think this is going to be a dogfight in the game to the end. Might come down to the last couple possessions, the last couple minutes of the game. Dallas basically, for the longest time in that game 1, was doing everything they could to not win. They weren't rebounding. They weren't taking care of the ball. They weren't shooting well. But they were getting open looks. And that's what I was somewhat encouraged about. You just got to play smarter, especially the role players, and take care of the ball a little better. I mean, overall, they had 11 turnovers, which isn't horrible, but there was a lot of live ball turnovers in there that led to transition opportunities for the Boston Celtics. But, I mean, they lost in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throws, and free throw percentage, which is sad when they shoot 68% from the line and you lose that. Lost the rebounding mark, the blocks. I mean, that was 9-1. Assist. The big thing about Dallas has been through the playoffs is sharing, and if they get in trouble, they kick it out. Boston did a great job. I did think Dallas missed some open looks, but Boston does a great job rotating around. And I also think the others, the Washingtons, the Joneses, the Greens, the Hardys, I think those guys ultimately, there were some shots they could have taken that they didn't, that they tried to do a little too much and getting into the paint when there was opportunities to take some open looks. And, that's just how it goes sometimes. First game NBA Finals for a lot of those guys, and I do believe experience plays a factor. And Boston has more experience, 5 straight Eastern Conference Finals, second Finals appearance. That plays into the game and into how the course of it plays out. Now, game 2, I kind of talked about what my expectations, Boston coming back to earth a little bit, Dallas raising up a little bit. And what I think you're going to see is, I think you're going to see more emphasis by Dallas getting to the rim, especially when Porzingis is not in the game. I think they're going to try to look to attack and try to get the lob game going. Boston, I think, is going to keep somewhat of the same game plan. Let's put Luka in the pick and roll situation. Let's attack him off the dribble. Let's get inside, because that was an exposure of the Dallas defense that we hadn't seen on a big part of. Boston was getting in the paint, 70-80% of the time of possessions that they had. And when you keep consistently getting paid, you collapse that defense, you kick it out. I mean, you look at the looks that Boston had versus the looks that Dallas had. Not even a comparison. Boston had amazing looks compared to the Mavericks looks throughout the game, especially in that first half. Boston let up a lot of open looks in the second half. They relaxed, they let them back in the game, and then ultimately they shut the door. But I think it's going to be a dogfight tonight. I think with Boston coming back to earth, Mavs rising up, being able to attack the Boston defense a little more efficiently now that they got them on film, now that they got a feel for them, look to take advantage of those matchups. And, honestly, it might be Luka has the matchup every time right now. I would love to see a little more scheming some guys open. They hit those switches, slip screens, um, you know, roll and pin off the backside, throw the lob over the top. And if they collapse over, kick to the corner or opposite wing based on Boston's rotations. I really like to see some of that. And so, but Mavs got to respond tonight. And ultimately, they have to take care of their business. And we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do as the world watches tonight, or the basketball world. Should be an interesting one. I think it's going to be exciting. I think the Mavs are still in good spirits. Obviously, Boston is super confident, as they should be. And, Boston is walking and talking and carrying themselves with a certain something they may not have had the past 4 or 5 years. And it's not because they're going against Dallas. I think it's, they believe it's their time. And in the general retrospect of how things happen in basketball, in the NBA playoffs, and how championships are won, it probably is their time. But it's up to the Mavericks to say, you're out, y'all gonna have to wait another year. And, can Kyrie and Luka and the boys ultimately do that? That's going to be the ultimate question tonight. I do want to see if Jason Kidd alters the defensive strategy at all, if he goes to more zone uh, and emphasizes rebounding a little more. I do think Maxi Kleba is going to be used more tonight versus Daniel Gafford. I think it's going to be a lively Maxi matchup. I think that's just kind of what the series is going to dictate, and the matchups um, against Dallas when it comes to just personnel. I remember in the 2011 run Dallas had, the matchups dictated Peja Stojakovic needed to be on the floor for a couple series, and he shot the lights out and rewarded him. But in the finals, you didn't see Peja at all because he couldn't guard anyone or even be hidden against the Miami Heat. So sometimes matchups dictate that. And right now, the matchups against Porzingis and Al Horford really lend themselves to more of a Maxi Kleba and Derek Lively situation. And you do kind of wish in this situation you had that stretch five that could stretch out the Boston defense, but you got to go with, who you are and what's got you here and what makes you great. And the balance of this team in Dallas has been great. And they got to find a way to take advantage of the lob game. I know they're switching. I know it's a little harder to get downhill. Whether that's pick when they switch, they set that screen. If they switch, you come off, you reverse the ball, the roller, which would be Lively or Gafford or Maxi. Maxi's not really a lob guy, especially at this point in his career. But if you throw it close enough, he can grab it. But if they pick and switch and you reverse it and he's rolling, he should be able to pin him on his backside, and then you can throw it in there. And if the backside, the next guy is collapsing, fake one to make one, throw it to the corner. You got to open three. And if he comes out, you still got the guy pinned on the roller's backside, and you can hit him inside for that. I think that'd be an adjustment that Dallas could make that could be really effective against that defense. Um, but a part of that is also make sure you're setting a good screen, understand the angles at which they're switching, and we'll see if how Jason Kidd and the offense decides to attack the Boston defense, because it's no easy task. I mean, they're a damn good team. Not going to sit here and say they're not. They had a historic year And they're having an historic playoff run. I think this is the first time Celtics history, or the most they've beat someone by double digits or over 15 points or something of that nature. Um, so, yeah, going to be fun. Going to be fun tonight. I'm predicting close game down to the last 2 or 3 minutes. And, when the ball's in those players' hands, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Luka, Kyrie, you never know what's going to happen. I'm hoping and I think, and I'm leaning towards the Mavs tonight because of how they responded after losses this playoff run. I think they've watched tape. I think they've got a better strategy going in against Boston. I'm not saying they didn't watch tape before game one, but it's a little different when you finally play a team with your full complement of roster, which I don't necessarily think they did during the season. So strategically, there's going to be some changes, and there has to be. But also, I think the Mavs are going to recognize those shots they didn't take that they could have. I think a few more of those fall. Boston comes back to earth a little bit tonight. I don't think Porzingis is going to play out of his mind. I think that was a heat of the moment, lightning in a bottle. Which great moment for Porzingis. I was sitting there sending tweets like, where was this KP when he played in Dallas? Like, why can't we have that one? And so, yeah, well, change of scenery does wonders for some people. A lot of the times, look at Kyrie in Dallas, Porzingis in Boston. I'm actually happy for KP. Thought he took a lot of flack, being the unicorn and not getting it done here. But sometimes that happens. So, like I said, I'm thinking Mavs tonight, close game, coin flip. But that first 5 minutes of the game are important. And they were talking about this on telecast, and this just popped into my head that I want to emphasize to you folks is starting the game, ending the game, but also starting and ending every quarter, those first 3 or 4 minutes, they're massively important for momentum, for confidence, and ultimately to set up the next quarter or the continuation of a run of dominance in the previous quarter. So that 32 minutes of the game, I guess you could say, is very important. So first 4, last 4 of each quarter, those 32 minutes can truly change and ultimately decide the game. Obviously, the last 4 minutes of the game, and that speaks for itself. But third quarter, second quarter, first quarter, equally as important how you start and finish each quarter. All right, that's going to wrap it up, I think. So hopefully y'all get to see this before game 2. I'm going to get one of these out. I should have our next episode of On Time Sports Talk with the original tomorrow or Tuesday. First episode of Last Call Sports should be recorded tomorrow. I know that's been weeks in the making. Like I mentioned last time, technical difficulties. Life sometimes get in the way of this stuff. And excited about getting that off the ground and getting that up and running. So y'all can kind of hear something a little different with my Kyle and Juan from the Midwest, me from the South in Texas. Going to be a pretty interesting dynamic, I think. And appreciate y'all listening, watching. Shout out to all my people I support. TVP, Mission 22, Camp Hope, and shout out to my pops dealing with addressing the mental health struggles here in Texas with Devlin Health as well. So all the best. Peace. Love y'all. Until next time. Thank you.